So A Quiet Place Part 2 is the sequel to 2018's A Quiet Place, once again directed by John Krasinski, and A Quiet Place Part 2 takes place after the events of the original film, to which, do not worry, I will not spoil in case if you guys have not seen the film. After the events of the original film, the Abbott family find themselves venturing away from their home to brave a much larger and a much scarier world. Alrighty guys, so let's get into A Quiet Place Part 2.
Excellent!
A Quiet Place Part 2 was one of my most anticipated movies of 2021. I could not tell you all just how excited I was to see this movie. And actually, I was supposed to see this movie last year, but then as you all can imagine, COVID happened. If I remember correctly, I was about 2 or 3 days away from seeing the screening, and then I was told it was canceled, so then, bye-bye Quiet Place Part 2. But then, finally, over a year later, A Quiet Place Part 2 finally comes out, and guys, I am so happy to say this. A Quiet Place Part 2 is fucking fantastic. God, it is so good! Getting right into the performances, everybody in this movie is absolutely terrific. From Emily Blunt, Cillian Murphy, Millicent Simmons to Noah Jupe, everybody crushes it in this. Emily Blunt once again shows why she is one of the best actresses working today. The evolution of Emily Blunt's character from the original film to Part 2 I thought was great. She has a couple of sequences that once again, like in the original film, not gonna lie to y'all, holy shit. And oh my word, there is one particular sequence where I thought, damn! Also, Cillian Murphy does a great job of playing this character that has a tortured soul in his life after certain events that have occurred, to which, once again, can only give it away. There is this great arc that Cillian Murphy kind of shares with Millicent Simmons. There are certain sections to where Cillian Murphy is just absolutely bringing it. There is one particular scene where Cillian Murphy nearly brought me to tears. I mean, he is so good in this movie. Also, Noah Jupe in this movie is great, but if I'm being real with you guys, the main show stealer in this movie is Millicent Simmons. Millicent Simmons in this movie is an absolute rock star. After seeing her in this movie, I really do hope that Millicent Simmons gets more roles. Millicent Simmons' character in this movie wants to continue a legacy of sorts from the original film. She shares a scene with Noah Jupe, and just seeing the acting on display for Millicent Simmons, no joke, a tear actually fell down from my eye because I was just like, fuck. Well done, Millie. One thing in particular that I absolutely loved about A Quiet Place Part 2 was the film's story and the directions that it took. From beginning to end, I was invested, I was enthralled, I was surprised by every turn this film took, and not to mention the most important thing, I was in suspense, to which I'll get into later on. There was not a single point in A Quiet Place Part 2 that didn't keep me on the edge of my seat or invested throughout the entire story. How John Krasinski was able to expand certain things from the original film to Part 2, I thought was absolutely genius. With this film, it really shows that John Krasinski has gotten even more confidence behind that camera, because there are some sequences in this film that Krasinski pulls off that I was really like, oh my god, how the fuck did he pull that off? When it comes to the cinematography of A Quiet Place Part 2, A Quiet Place Part 2 is a gorgeous looking movie. Polly Morgan shoots a very rich looking movie with a great and very warm color palette to it. When it comes to the sound design of this movie, A Quiet Place Part 2, this movie's sound design is even better than it was in the original film. And what I've noticed watching both movies is that I had rewatched the original film before I saw A Quiet Place Part 2, and one subtle thing that I noticed about A Quiet Place Part 2 sound design is that every sound in this movie, and I mean every little sound, is giving us a tight bit of a bump in terms of its volume. It carries on to this film is just how much we rely on sound to get us through life, because there are particular sounds in this movie that made me think, god dang, are we really that loud? Is A Quiet Place Part 2 just as scary or scarier than the original film? In my personal opinion, yeah, it is so much more suspenseful and way more nerve-shredding than the original film was. And the original film was fucking tension-filled. A Quiet Place Part 2 ramps it up even more so in ways that I didn't think were even imaginable. This movie had my heart racing from beginning to end. Even when things seemed to be safe, I was still going like, don't make a sound, don't make a sound, don't make a sound, don't make a sound, stop it, stop, shut up, shut up. There is a particular sequence in this movie where it intercuts between 3 different parts. How this film intercuts between these 3 sections is some of the best editing I have seen in a horror film in a long time. I mean, I'm telling you all right now, throughout this scene, my hands were gripped onto my seat. I mean, this is holy shit. And also, just like with the original film, Marco Beltrami's score for A Quiet Place Part 2 is suspenseful as all hell. A Quiet Place Part 2 runs, I believe, at just over an hour and 40 minutes. The pacing of the film is so good, it didn't even feel like an hour and 40 minutes. It literally felt like maybe like an hour and 20 minutes max. This movie speeds right on by, and I did not want it to end.
Well, that's just fucking great!
If I were to say a single issue that I had with A Quiet Place Part 2, it would be this: the film's ending. Not the film's actual ending, but the fact that A Quiet Place Part 2 ended.
And here we go.
So overall, A Quiet Place Part 2, in my eyes, is better than the original film, and I love the original film. John Krasinski not only ramps up the tension even more so, but he takes everything about the original film that was so damn good and makes it even better in Part 2. Guys, I absolutely loved A Quiet Place Part 2, and not only is A Quiet Place Part 2 one of the best horror sequels I have ever seen, but it is also one of my favorite films of the year. So all in all, I am absolutely going to give A Quiet Place Part 2 a 5 out of 5 stars. Guys, A Quiet Place Part 2 is a phenomenal film. If you love horror films, hell, if you love films in general, go see this movie, and especially take a date. I'm telling you guys, this is a great date movie. So comment down below and let me know, what did you guys think of A Quiet Place Part 2? Did you love the film? Did you like it? Or did you even hate the film? Let me know below. If you guys want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. I'm also on Snapchat. So if you guys want to follow me on all those social media platforms, all the links in the usernames are in the description below. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of A Quiet Place Part 2. If so, please hit that like button, also subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell for whenever the latest video of mine goes live. If you guys want to see any of my previous 2 videos, please click right there or there. And of course, until my next review or video, I will see you all next time.